Steve knew that a radio show could be a club. And all you had to do to be a member of this club was to listen. And once you listened, you were in this Steve Wright world, a wonderful world of happiness and humor. And he obviously attracted across the generations because you don't get millions of listeners a day for over 40 years without having a special gift where you relate one-to-one to each listener. He wasn't thinking, I'm talking to millions. He was thinking, I'm talking to you. Maybe it was Alice Cooper, who knows? But he was speaking to us individually. And that is why the tributes today have been across the generations and across all known divides, because virtually everyone in this country over the age of 30 has heard Steve Wright and grown up with Steve Wright and loved Steve Wright. It's very easy to say that popular music broadcasting is not serious. It is serious. What it is not is solemn. And Steve Wright was never solemn, but he was always serious. He put in hours of preparation for his show. Every day he would show up in the morning for his afternoon show, and then he'd do a bit of work after the show. And he did this for his adult life. He actually gave the listeners of this country his adulthood. And there we see three of us who have been together in the profession for many years. And I had actually sent 2 emails to Steve yesterday, not realizing he was no longer with us.
Oh, gosh.
Because
I'm so sorry, Paul.
Yeah, we were due to speak tomorrow about these so-called new BBC radio stations you may have heard about. And he and I had been mentioned in the press release. Now, we didn't know the answers to any of the relevant questions that he qualified, such as what's it going to be called, when's it going to be start, what are we going to do, how are we going to get paid? But we had a great long conversation about it on Saturday. I was supposed to be having a meeting with the head of music yesterday, and I told Steve, well, I'll give you a call and share what I've learned. But of course, that meeting was canceled because of the tragedy, and I know no more. And now Steve will never know what this is going to be.
I mean, some people do believe that he was treated in later years quite shabbily by the BBC. Is that something that you concur with, Paul? And is it something that you know that Steve was or was not bitter about?
Steve said to me, we surf the controllers, meaning that it was our job to stay on the board through the changes of management. And sometimes the wave crests and sometimes the wave ebbs. You just got to stay on the board until you reach the shore, which he did this week. Now, he had said to me in our last conversation that he was going to be back on afternoon broadcasting. He just wasn't sure how. He preferred the BBC because it had more freedom artistically, but he had received offers from all of the major groups and had turned them down, including an offer just under $500,000, because they didn't allow him to be Steve Wright, to choose his music, to interview his guests. And he knew, as well as anyone, that it isn't your name that is important, it's what you do that's important. And people who think they can buy you just by buying your name and not let you do your act are quite wrong. He wanted to do his act, what he had to offer. But he was confident that it was going to happen at some point in time. And it's a shame now that